into the Thursday night football recap. We try to do this every week. Joe and I both watched this Packers-Niners game. The Packers just had a field day. I mean, they only won 34-17, but it was really 34-3, and the Niners just scored 2 late touchdowns when it didn't matter. But yeah, no, dude, Aaron Rodgers, terrific. He had 305 yards, 4 touchdowns, multiple deep bombs to Devontae Adams and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. That first pass to Devontae Adams, great pass, great catch. And then, of course, the pass to Valdez-Scantling right over the seam, perfect ball. Nobody in the vicinity at all. And I think it either went for a touchdown or went right near the goal line. So the question here, Joe, is how does this performance for you impact the MVP race? Does it shake it up for you? Obviously, Wilson is still performing at an unbelievably high clip, but after the 3-pick performance a couple weeks ago against Arizona, maybe it gets more into this debate.
I think Rodgers definitely got back into got back closer because obviously he had the horrible game against Tampa by throwing like 3 picks and throwing for like barely 200 yards. And then I feel like this like kind of redeemed himself after that. And it does help that Wilson did throw 3 picks against the Cardinals, even though he did throw 5 touchdowns or something.
Yeah, it was a 3-3 game. Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns.
Oh. Yeah. But I do think he's still second place in the MVP race. I did see an interesting stat that Aaron Rodgers from 2017 to 2019 had 3 4+ touchdown games.
Yep.
This season alone, he has 4.
Terrific. I mean, he's been phenomenal. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
If you can't do the math there, that is 16+ touchdowns in just 4 games alone.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 24 touchdowns and 2 picks on the season.
Like, that is insane.
Yeah.
Those are great stats for any QB. And, I mean, I like Aaron Rodgers a lot. And I also want to see Russ win MVP. But, I mean, I don't want to say – because I can't say who's, like, better. I will put Russ in lead, but, I mean, it's going to be close in the end if Rodgers keeps playing like this.
Oh, 100%.
My God.
I mean, look, that Niners defense it's not terrible. It's not great. But, I mean, Rodgers torched them. And for me, my logic on it is, look, I have Russ first. I think that Russell Wilson, for one, he's got the storyline behind him that he's never gotten an MVP vote. Now he's playing at an unbelievably high clip. The Seahawks are right now playing better than the Packers record-wise. Wilson's having games where he's also throwing for 3-4 touchdowns in a night. I mean, I think for me, I lean Wilson just because of the way that Seahawks team is playing and the fact that his defense is worse than Green Bay's. But look, this is razor thin now for me. You look at Aaron Rodgers; he's been terrific, and he's had the occasional off game. Maybe that Bucs game where he threw 2 picks and no touchdowns maybe puts him a little behind Wilson. But I mean, he was scintillating. I mean, some of the passes he threw in that game were right on par with some of the passes I've seen Wilson throw this season. There's also the narrative of people saying, oh, maybe Rodgers is washed. Let's draft his replacement. And he comes in and has this tremendous season. So I don't think it shook up the race, but I think it certainly reminded us that this is not a one-horse race and it's competitive, Joe.
Yeah, for sure.
And so going off that, I want to talk about Green Bay, actually. Do you think we can call them NFC favorites? Because I know you're very high on the Packers, Joe, but obviously we have to consider the effects of the Bucs and Vikings losses in that calculus.
Look, I mean, yeah, I would. I think the Packers are one of the more complete teams in the NFC. Like, Seahawks, no offense to any fans listening or that will listen to this, you don't really have a defense.
Agreed.
Okay, you're all offense. And that's been working out a lot. That's been working out very well for you guys, but I don't think it's going to work out well in the playoffs. It might. I mean, Russ could throw for like 50 points or something.
If he needs to, he's shown he can get there probably.
Yeah. But Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the 2 most complete teams in the NFC.
I agree.
The problem I have with the Buccaneers now, and like this was shown against
last week. Yeah.
Last week, they couldn't finish off the Giants. Like, I mean, it was too close against against a guy with a fumbling problem.
Yeah.
You got like They got 2 sacks, I want to say.
They got multiple picks on him, I will say. I mean, it's not like the defense wasn't good.
They got 1 pick.
I think they picked Danny Dimes off twice. But, regardless, it's not like the defense was good. It's not like the defense wasn't at, though.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like that. But you shouldn't beat a team like that by 2.
I agree.
It's not a good look. And, yeah, I will put the Packers ahead of them now because of that. Now, that being said, the Packers did, lose to the Vikings. But last week, too. But I'm going to let that one slide, honestly, because I am a huge fan of Dalvin Cook's game.
So there's one clear weakness in the Packers game that I want to talk about. Yes. Yeah. And so here's the way you beat the Packers. The blueprint's been laid out by both the Bucs and the Vikings if you watch those games. You pound them on the ground, you have 6-7 minute drives, and then you score at the end of them, and then play just good enough on defense to get the win. It's what the Vikings did. They ran them into the ground. They took a double-digit touchdown lead and ran clock, and then by the time the Packers started to really get back in the game, it was too late. I mean, you saw they scored, I think they got the 2-point conversion, and there just wasn't enough time to make up ground. The Bucs did a similar thing, except they blew them out because Rodgers had a really awful game. It was only a bad game Rodgers has had this season.
Yeah.
So the key for me is if you're evaluating favorite based on matchups, yeah, maybe actually, because it does depend who they would run into in the first round, assuming they don't get the 1 seed. But they could beat Seattle because, look, Chris Carson's a good running back. DJ Dallas is a good running back. But I think the Seahawks offense is far more pass-oriented than, say, the Vikings or even the Bucs. I mean, the Bucs run the ball a lot more than we expected them to in the beginning of the season. And the Bucs are more versatile. They tailored that game plan to the run against the Packers. So this is a tough analysis for me. I say in terms of matchups, maybe they are, but it depends who they run into in the wild card round. In terms of overall, just skill wise, I think the Seahawks are the best team in this conference in terms of just look at the offensive weapons, look at the number of points they can put out. They can win in pretty much any shootout. And look, the Packers can score a lot of points, but I think that the Seahawks could just outshoot them if they have to. So I think it's a multi-layered answer for me.
I just want to say, whoever at Fox, NFL on Fox, Instagram, whoever runs that page, if you put DK Metcalf over Devontae Adams, Julio Jones,
it was there was
DeAndre Hopkins,
Michael Thomas,
and Tyreek Hill.
You're brainless.
Why would that's not a comparison? DK Metcalf isn't even always the number 1 option on that team.
DK Metcalf is maybe the most athletic receiver in the league, you could argue, but he is not the most skilled and he's not the best.
Honestly, after last night, I kind of changed my mind from Julio and DeAndre Hopkins to Devontae Adams because he was amazing. DK Metcalf might get to that someday, might be the best receiver in the league someday, but he is far from it. He's not even top 5. And NFL on Fox, that guy should be fired.
Okay, I'm not going to encourage for somebody to lose their job. It's a tough time.
That guy should be reprimanded.
Reprimanded.